Hey, welcome back, and we'll be getting into the new episode of our class basics guide. Today we're going to be sticking around with the martial types, another very easy class with the fighter. Fighters are kind of the core combatant when it comes to most of the classes, and I know it gets a lot of flack within the D&D community for being relatively boring per se. It doesn't get many things that are great for enhancing roleplay, but what it does excel in is combat. This is a class that gets to just attack, maybe attack again, and then if you feel like it, attacking even more. You are good with all weapons. Does not matter what type it is, if it's simple, if it's ranged, if it's considered a martial weapon, so such as like a sword or a hammer, and you're proficient with all armor types. So really, the fighter is excellent because you get a lot of options. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of experience playing fighter myself. I tend to opt more for a barbarian or something that's a little bit more specialized with magic. However, the very first character that I ever played when I started D&D, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, was a fighter built out of the starter box. So I have a lot of fond memories associated with this class. Some of the D&D campaigns that I listen to also feature some very prominent fighters amongst the characters that happen to be some of my absolute favorites. You get a D10 of health, so you're not quite as tanky as the barbarian if you want to check some of my other videos on, but you do get quite a bit of health per level. You're able to self-sustain in a fight as well, especially because early on you get a trait that's called Second Wind. With Second Wind, you don't need to rely on anybody else healing you because you can just kind of sit there for a second, get some health back, and then get right back into the thick of a fight. The type of fighter that you want to play is really dependent on you. The class has been getting a lot of different archetypes over the past couple of years that really allow you to kind of specialize on what you want to do. Do you want to be that kind of frontline fighter that has access to a little bit of magic? You can do that. Do you want to be a long-ranged sniper with a longbow? You can do that too. Really, the fighter is what you make of it. It also gets extra ability score improvements compared to some of the other classes, which normally get it every 4 levels. The fighter, however, is able to start doing it almost every other level once you get a little bit higher level. It's a very beginner-friendly class just because you don't really have a whole lot that you have to keep track of. All you've got to do is just how many times am I going to attack and whether you hit or miss. It's a little more bland in the roleplay department, so I would highly recommend if you're playing a fighter, make sure that you have at least an interesting backstory or you have some very interesting interactions with your companions. This is probably one of the most recommended classes that I would have if you're just getting into the game, or if you really feel like playing something simple, give it a shot. Maybe you'll have a lot more fun than you would think. Really, that's about all there is to say on the fighter, just because it's very simple. If you stick around, we'll be breaking down the different types of fighters in a later episode, but for now, I just wanted to walk through the very basics of how this class works and kind of what I like and some of the struggles that it has. But if you stick around, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll talk more about those at a later date. Thanks for sticking around. Bye.